my friends of the interwebs, thank you so much for being here and joining me today. I'm really excited to share with you some of the recipes I've been making non-stop this winter season that are so easy and comforting and delicious. I just wanted to share with you some really easy recipe inspo and basically what I've been eating day after day. And I'm pretty much just spending the day at home, so this is just going to be a really fun video for me to film and eat, and that is the vibe. This is my favorite soup recipe, and it starts off like most simply by sauteing garlic, onions, celery, and traditionally you would use carrots, but I don't love carrots in my soup. Throw in any veggies that you like. I just had sweet potatoes on hand, and then all of my seasonings, I saute those and then add in 1 jar of bone broth and 1 jar of water. You can use veggie broth, and then some noodles. I normally like gluten-free noodles, but as I'll be eating this soup for a few days, I like to use normal noodles that won't fall apart as easily. And I'm sauteing these mushroom chicken cutlets. Literally the only ingredient is mushroom, and they fall apart and shred so nicely, so I really love this brand, and I'm just kind of cooking them up on the side. But I love having the breaded version of this with salads, and this is just a side note, but I love a little Caesar salad with this raw dressing. I will just put 2 of those cutlets into my soup. I season this like crazy, and then I eat it throughout the week, and you have to squeeze lemon on it. It gives it that last little oomph, and this really tastes like a traditional chicken noodle soup. I am genuinely addicted to eating this for breakfast. That huge pot will be gone in the next 4 or 5 days, and it just really hits the spot. And then usually after this, I'll have a little bit of fruit. I try to go local, have some apples, but my favorite has honestly been honeydew. I watched this one podcast with the glucose goddess, and all of her main rules for eating I just stuck by, and they made me feel so good, and I still follow them. Basically, not spiking your blood sugar is going to be really good for your health long term. It's going to be really good to prevent type 2 diabetes, type 3 diabetes, which they sometimes call Alzheimer's, which now runs in my family. I talk about eating for anti-aging, but I don't mean that I'm trying to look younger forever. I'm not so concerned with my vanity to look externally younger. It's more internal, like my physical health, my organs, my inflammation being low. Those are the things that matter to me when I talk about anti-aging. And this is one way to eat for anti-aging, is to spike your blood sugar less. Sometimes your lack of discipline, your lack of focus does not stem from you being lazy or some personal issue to be held accountable for. It's actually just your health. It's your vitamin levels, it's your gut health. You're deficient in something, you're, have past trauma that is still living in your body. There are so many factors that affect your health, and I really believe in functional medicine because it's what really shifted the state of my mind this past year. This world is chaotic, the news is chaotic, the government is chaotic, and that alone can make you feel depressed and shook up and unwell. So we're already combating that. Let's not have to be like fighting for our lives at every single level, and try to educate ourselves about food and nutrition so that at the very least we're well prepared to face the chaos of the world because our foundation is stable. Every time it gets, I think, below 40 degrees, the boilers turn on, and it is so hot in here. So hence why I'm just looking like this, but yeah. Picked up my absolute favorite beverage of choice, and this is a hojicha latte from Tokuya Matcha. And hojicha is like a less caffeinated green tea leaf that's roasted. It tastes kind of savory and super nutty. It almost tastes like a hot chocolate, and it's giving me life. Like, I almost want to go back in and get a second one, knowing that I'm gonna be craving this the moment that it's over. That is how obsessed I am. I always get it with almond milk because I'm taking a step back from oat milk. My gut health doctor said that was like so bad for my gut. It's just like drinking a bunch of starches. So almond milk has been the bae. And then I also got this little vegan barbecue onigiri. Quite chilly out and it's already getting dark at 4 p.m. That is so good. I'm pretty sure it has gochujang. It tastes like Korean barbecue. I'm really happy. Every single time I leave the house in the winter, it's a victory. Two incredible things just happened to me. I walked into this restaurant to use the bathroom and I witnessed a proposal happening, and then one of the workers was a subscriber there and we just hit it off and had such a beautiful conversation. We might link up and go to the Bhakti Center for chanting, which is on Tuesdays and Thursdays if you ever want to go. It's really wonderful Bhakti practice, but I literally cried. That was such an energy boost. And I love New York City so much for that, like these chance encounters that can happen. And really quick, I wanted to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is BetterHelp. You don't need to have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety to benefit from therapy. BetterHelp is on a mission to make starting therapy easier. All you have to do is fill out a questionnaire, match with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. And one of the best features of BetterHelp is that if the first therapist doesn't feel like the right fit, you can easily switch to another one until you find someone you really connect with. There is even a journal inside the platform for personal reflection, and there are group sessions on a number of different topics available every day. If you're struggling and think you'd benefit from a therapy session, click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/Hitomi and get 10% off your first month of therapy, and have a safe space to perhaps talk about your relationship to food or your body or literally anything that feels like a weight or a wall.
For this really simple tofu bowl, I'm mixing together cumin, turmeric, garlic, onion powder, and nutritional yeast with some lemon and coating each slice of tofu. You can also make a flour dredge and then put your seasonings on top of that, but this is the way that I like to do it, and I really crisp up my tofu. And I also made a side salad with kale, avocado, and heirloom tomatoes, which were delicious. My favorite dressing has been lemon, olive oil, and just a little bit of honey and salt. So good. All together, these flavors are perfection.
I feel like people are somewhat divided on tofu. You either love it or you hate it, or maybe just feel mid about it, but it is so easy to season well and make so flavorful. And the way I cooked it is I charred my tofu to a crisp, but you can keep it kind of juicy, kind of like wet, or basically just cut the tofu thicker and don't cook it on high. I pretty much like fry my tofu because I like it that way. And you get a really nice crunch.
My favorite forms of at-home movement lately have been doing mat Pilates with Nicole. She has the most incredible little workout videos on YouTube. And my other favorite is this dancing platform called Forward Space. It's basically like modern day jazzercise with modern music and a hype woman teaching you choreography. There are weighted classes, there are 25, 15-minute classes or hour-long classes, and it is such a good way to release dopamine and move the body. I always feel so happy when I'm doing these. And then lastly, I've just been going to a yoga studio at least once a week, and that has been everything to me.
Introspective hours have commenced. Revived my Christmas lights, which will never not make me think of my peak Tumblr girl era. And I just kind of wanted to end this video on like my most recent revelation, which is that for so much of my life, I feel like I've genuinely existed through the daydream visions that I've had. Like, that is how I've manifested so many beautiful moments in my life. I act out of my delusions before they are fully baked. So I will make incredibly big life choices based out of a daydream that I had without any evidence that that daydream was something that would fulfill me. My full-time traveling of the past 2 years, I really thought it would be so amazing, but I've had a lot of moments of stress and loneliness, and I fucked up my gut health through that time because I didn't have a solid routine and I was eating different kinds of foods. I just thought that was gonna be so amazing, and honestly, part of me never wants to travel again. I romanticize meeting new people, going to different parties, and then I had access to do that as a single woman, and what did I want? I wanted familiarity, I wanted my community. I feel like just so much of my life has been lived out of a daydream, and it's positive and negative. Something that I've been clocking that's a bit more negative is that I live out of like the daydream of my most aesthetic self. So sometimes I imagine how much more like cool I could come off, or how much more beautiful the background could be. Like even all these videos I've been filming in New York kind of pain me because they're so unaesthetically pleasing to me. If I was fully going to root down here in New York, I would invest in a space and make it really nice and essentially make it like a filming set. And that's something about content creators that maybe you don't think about, but they are always trying to find the most beautiful spaces for their content. It's literally like finding a set or building a set every single time so that the lighting is nice and so the aesthetic just matches the soft girl energy. But what happens when that's not the case? It's like, is this moment less worthy of documenting because it's not as aesthetically pleasing? Or like, how much am I curating my life out of like a love for having an intentional space versus so that it comes off even nicer, so that it like works with the film narrative that I'm making? And I think that's something that has really exhausted me about social media the past year, especially feeling like unattractive myself. I've had so many moments this past year where I just feel so like ugly, and I only feel ugly because I'm aware that I'm putting myself out vulnerably online when I don't feel my best. But if I wasn't filming myself, I would be fine. I would just be like, oh yeah, this is just me. There's no reason that I have to look snatched or look like, you know, flawless in any way. It's just for me. And that's how I feel about like the aesthetics of places too. Like, oh, this space is amazing, but I belittle it because it's not as good as it could be. It's not translating the vibe that I'm actually in right now. We don't see normal spaces romanticized, you know, like old outdated kitchens or like cluttered living rooms or the average household. Like the household that I grew up in, I would probably never film in it. It bothers me because it's not always the truth, and it feels like forcing. I don't like beauty when it's forced. Basically, it kind of belittles certain moments in life if they're not aesthetic enough, or it drives you to make things look nice but not in a pure way. It's like making art just so that you said that you did it and so that you could show it off and externalize it immediately, versus just like having taste and having preference. My internal voice, my art, you know, intuition has been muddled with a desire for things to look nice, and I hate that feeling. I want my life to feel like my own. I want my decisions and my relationships and the view of my life to be the exact one that I chose from my soul and spirit, and for no one else. I've really felt some of the aspects of the way that I've been living hindering my spiritual path and my spiritual growth, and the need to constantly like explain myself or even make things palatable, make things make sense for people. That is not the way that our multidimensional souls and spirits are meant to live, and it's just created a lot of internalized shame around things, and I'm moving more and more away from those narratives. And when I see what my mind and my heart and my life feels like, it's already so much more nourishing, and I'm like, wow, I really was letting these random like public opinions affect me so deeply. I'm not saying even comments that I've received, but like judgment I see other people receiving. I'm like, oh, let me not piss people off in this way, or let me not act in this way. And okay, this feeds into a whole other conversation of people needing to be so politically correct online. They're just preaching to the woke crowd, which I get. It's really positive how like woke and progressive social media has made people and how information can spread, but people also aren't just thinking for themselves. They just want to say what's right without actually learning about the history of a cause. I feel like people are so afraid of getting canceled or just saying what's right that they don't form their own opinions, and that's really important. Just like using free will and free thought and not just saying what the baseline narrative is, but explore theories and ideas and philosophies of your own and maybe add your own narrative and voice to the mix. I digress. I'm just thinking for myself these days, and it feels good, and I'm just you know, chipping at the tip of the iceberg, but there's a whole lot of me that is coming up to the surface. I just really feel it in my heart and in my body, how much more liberated I feel and honest I feel with myself. So anyway, thank you for watching this vid and everything I'm nourishing myself with, and I will see you in a video soon. I hope. I'm bowing down to you, and I'm grateful for these moments together.